Okay, welcome to the amazing Language of Impact workshop with Infopreneur Agency and introducing the amazing Joel D. Roberts and Associates. For those of you who do not know Joel, he was a former primetime radio talk show host for 20 years, hosting a show on KABC radio in LA. And again, this was prime time and during the times when people are listening the most. His job was to captivate an audience and capture their interest and keep them hooked with every word and every phrase that came out of his mouth. Right? And you're going to see in a moment some really amazing things. I've been working with Joel I've actually been learning from Joel as a student and been an avid student of his for about 6 or 7 years now. I can't tell you how many lessons I've learned and how much it's actually impacted my business and my life. So it really does give me true pleasure and honor to introduce you to him. But before we get started, I do want to actually give some ground rules, some housekeeping, just to make sure you guys know how to use Zoom and how we're going to be working this. Now, if you have any at all, if you want to ask a question, just put it in the chat box, okay? And we might not get to it. There's a lot of people here. We know that. But feel free to do that. And at any point, there will be some times when Joel will call on you. And if you have something to say, go ahead and raise your hand. And if he calls on you, I'm going to unmute you and give you the opportunity to talk, all right? And the other thing, if you did not know, there is a speaker view and gallery view. It's your choice if you want to see other people interacting or you just want to see Joel. That's in the top right corner. And the technical troubleshooting, just in case, if you have any issues with Zoom, you might want to just sign out and sign back in, okay? Just a heads up. Now, with that said, let's really get this show on the road. Like I said, Joel Roberts, he's been coaching. He's an expert at helping entrepreneurs and professionals, executives. He's worked with Fortune 100 companies like Target and Lockheed-Martin and others, as well as top best-selling authors like Jack Canfield, Covey, and pretty much anyone you can think of, right? Helping them become bestsellers, helping them express their book in a 60-second to 30 to 3 minutes on the Today Show and all these big places to get them #1 bestsellers, right? So I could say a bunch of things about him. I'm going to actually turn it over to him because he's amazing. And all you need to know is to take notes, pay very close attention, and participate 100% if you really want to get the most out of this, okay? So I'm going to unmute you, Joel. Just need to find you. Just 1 second. I'm sorry. Hold on. There's a lot of people on here. All right, Joel, there you are.
Thank you, Omar. First of all, it's a great pleasure to be here, an honor to be here, a lot of fun to be here. And I want to thank Omar, who has assisted at more of our events than I think any human being that we know. And it's been tremendous having you, and I'm really thrilled that you have this forum. I'm proud to be part of it. On a logistical note, I will ask everybody to keep their video on so that I can see your beautiful faces. And by the way, my wife, who was sitting to the side of me here, hello, Heidi.
Hello,
there's Heidi.
I said hello before, but hi to those of you I haven't seen before. I'm Heidi.
She put me on a big fat pillow in an effort to make me taller.
I may add another one.
And also, when Omar talked about people putting themselves on mute, Heidi could not help but remark that she thought that was really an appealing prospect, something to do to me. But for the moment, I want to talk with you about the reality of our world in the communication sphere today. And I can put it to you very simply. The medium that we are on right now, not just Zoom, but the internet, is the greatest double-edged sword in the history of human communication. And it is arguably an indescribable blessing. It is also a venue for more trash, filth, libel, and mediocrity than I can humanly describe. And this is the problem. There is no quality control anymore. This is the problem. The world, ladies and gentlemen, is loud and crowded. And it's getting louder and more crowded. And the dilemma is, when you have good people like you, and I'm making an assumption that if you're involved with Omar, you're people of good hearts, fine minds who want to make a contribution to the world. The challenge is, how do you get heard and taken seriously in this loud, crowded world? This is the challenge. And just to kind of flesh out a little bit further, I want to paint a picture for you of hundreds of millions of human beings who now have websites. I want to paint a picture for you of blogs whose fonts are the exact same font that CNN.com is in, or Wired.com is in, or Politico.com is in, or Time Magazine is in. It used to be that there was some way for you to distinguish between somebody that had real power, real reach, real authenticity, and the people that did not. Now that's harder. It's a lot harder. So the question is, for you, and I have looked here at some of the things that you're doing, your corporate trainers, your realtors, your entrepreneurs of every stripe, your authors. We have worked with more corporate trainers, more entrepreneurs, more realtors, and God knows more best-selling authors than I can humanly count. What the internet has done is it has made you into a broadcaster, whether you like it or not. What the internet has done is it has made you into a publisher, whether you like it or not. The problem is, how many of you were actually trained? I'm only seeing one screen at a time, but I've got 25, 30, 40 people here. Raise your hand if you were trained as a broadcaster. I'm seeing no hands. Exactly. One hand. Raise your hand. Can we go back to the original screen? Thank you. Raise your hand if you were trained as a publisher. This is the issue. And yet, like it or not, every one of you now is a broadcaster. Every one of you now is a publisher. That's the good news. And that's the challenge. Now, what do we do? The answer is you learn the skill set of publishers and you learn the skill set of broadcasters as quickly as you humanly can. And I want you to know you are not alone. You are certainly not alone. In fact, I'm going to tell you an interesting little story here. Again, by a show of hands, I'm going to refer to a news story which broke approximately 2 weeks ago and has become truly one of the most viral news stories in the history of the human race, no joke. It initially broke on the New York Times website on a Saturday night, and then it was followed the next day in the print edition of their newspaper. It is a story about a secret office within the Pentagon, within the Department of Defense, that was looking into UFOs. Have any of you, raise your hand please, heard of this story? Okay, I'm getting a few hands. Can we go to another screen here, or do they not show up?
You can. Can everybody?
Everybody, please turn your video on. Anyway, we can go back. So, quite a number of people raised their hands saying they have heard the story. If you haven't heard the story, I can summarize it for you very briefly. Very simply, the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, did have an office for a number of years, which was funded by Senator Harry Reid and others, to look into what they regarded as indisputable evidence that there were, in fact, aircraft flying around in the Earth's atmosphere that did not appear to be of earthly origin. How many of you regard that as potentially significant news? Raise your hand. Most people would agree that's potentially significant news. These aircraft are displaying capacities, whether it's in the way they maneuver or the speed at which they fly, that no earthly aircraft are known to have. I bring this up for the following reason. I am honored to say, I have permission to say, that I am the media coach to the people who brought this story to the New York Times. I am the communications consultant behind the story. It's the biggest thing I've ever worked on in my life. I brought it up for the following reason. The people that are doing the publicity here, one of them is a guy who was in the Department of Defense who ran this program pretty much in secret. He's never done media in his life. Another guy is from the CIA, never done media in his life. They have been in the exact same situation that you might be in now, and yet they have been able to adapt. So there is hope. But they have had to acquire a skill set with a vengeance, and my job is to take what I learned in 6,000 hours of broadcasting and condense it down to certain principles that anyone can learn, that anyone can digest and ingest, so that you can be heard in the loud, crowded world. How many of you, by a show of hands, would like to be heard and taken seriously in the loud, crowded world? On this, we have consensus. Now, here's the challenge. The challenge is you don't want to sound like anybody else. And the challenge is there are a lot of somebody else's that you might end up sounding like. So you have to learn how to craft what I call a singular signature in the marketplace. You have to learn how to speak about what you do in a way that no one else speaks about what they do. And indeed, in a little while, when I interact with people on the call here, on the conference, I will show you some of what we can about how to do that. We have a 2-day event, which I'll be telling you about, called The Millionaire Mouth, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mouth. And I want to tell you how this came about. It came about as a joke that stuck, to be honest. And I had no idea of changing the name of what we do. But the original name of what we do was the language of impact. And as Omar knows, because he has assisted in more LOIs, as we used to call them, language of impact seminars, he has assisted more than anyone else. That was our name for years. But many of you have heard of peak potentials. One day I was up on Harv Eker's stage, and he has this concept of having a millionaire mind you may be familiar with. And I got up on the stage and I said, it is all well and good to have a millionaire mind, but it won't do you a damn bit of good if you don't have a millionaire mouth. And guess what? It stuck. I almost kind of regret that I uttered it, but it stuck. It became our signature. It became our ID. What can I say? The thing is this, my friends. As much as I believe you need a millionaire mouth, I am the first to tell you from the truth of my heart that there is no amount of linguistic fancy dancing on earth that will compensate for a lack of quality in your product or your service. Everybody with me on this? I'm pretty darn good with the English language. I have crafted things that have been in front of my eyes on the New York Times website, on the Washington Post website, Politico. I mean, my language is now all over the place coming out of other people's mouths. I'm decent at this, but I can tell you there is no way on earth that I can compensate for poor quality. So you've got to have a service that's truly of value to people. You've got to have a product that makes a real difference to people. This goes without saying. So I'm going to assume, for the purpose of our conversation here, and it's about to become a conversation, because some of you brave people are going to work with me, I'm going to assume, for the purpose of our conversation, that you have a product or a service that you feel would be of value. And now I've got some really great news for people who are in transition. Anybody here in transition? On this screen, let's see if we go to the next screen. Again, people, take yourselves or put yourselves on video.
That's in the lower left.
That's in the lower left. Where do I?
Right here.
Okay.
No.
So put yourselves on. Ah, there are human beings appearing in front of my eyes. please.
It's in the lower, if you put your cursor on the lower left part of your screen, you'll see a little icon that looks like a camera. If it has a line through it, that means we can't see you. Your video is off. So click on it, and that'll take the line away, and then we'll be able to see you. But if we can't see you, we don't know if you're raising your hand or wanting to interact or anything. So we really want to see your smiling faces.
Right, don't hide here. I am now acquainted with Joe Nicasio, with somebody named Brown, with Alyssa Wolf, with Wendy Cherwinski, and others of very exotic names. Go back to our screen here. So here's the deal. If you are in transition, if you are moving from one thing to the next in your life, if you're not even sure where you're going next, guess what? You will be in very good company. We have so many people that come to our events that actually are not quite sure what they're doing next. And the interesting thing is, and I want to have total integrity about this, I am not a career coach by any stretch of the imagination. And yet people, when they come to an event in which they are invited to language their heart, their mind, their soul, it brings up a clarity in them, a kind of a cosmic clarity in them that is really a sacred thing to behold. So I would like to take you through some paces right now. And again, this will just be kind of an overview, but I want to, using live interactions, take you through some paces about some of the things that you need to know in order to be heard in the loud, crowded world. Now, Omar, do you want to choose for me whom I'm interacting with, or how do you want to run this?
You.
Yeah, let's have you do it, Joel.
Okay, so raise your hand if you're feeling particularly courageous. Okay, we have a guy here named Sasha who truly looks like Fyodor Dostoevsky. Okay, Jan, who else here? A guy named Administrator. Is that really your name, Administrator, with the headphones? Take yourself off mute, Administrator with headphones, or do I take them off?
Yeah. Omar, can you make it so that people can unmute themselves?
I just unmuted you, Administrator.
Okay.
I'm Dr. Richard Ruling, the person that can help you live longer, feel better, and save money with doctors and prescriptions.
I can't hear him very well. Could you say that again, please?
You're a little bit off mic.
Okay. I'm Dr. Richard Ruling, a physician who can help people to save money, live longer, feel better, and not have to get prescriptions or doctors.
All right, we're going to start with him. Everybody ready? Everybody shake their heads. And you with the Russian beard, Sasha, are you truly Russian? Just nod your head. You are? Unmute yourself for a minute, Sasha. Say hello.
How you doing today, sir?
I want to hear you say a whole sentence. Give me more than that.
In Russian? Здорово живете. Как вы сегодня здоровьем?
Как ты поживаешь?
Отлично, слава Богу.
Хорошо.
Очень приятно вас видать.
His Russian's very good for a Russian. All right.
Born in America.
For the moment, I work with the doctor. Everybody watch. Ready? Are you willing to see magic? Watch. Okay. The guy who's going by Administrator, tell me your name again, Dr. What?
Richard Ruling.
Spell your last name.
R-U-H-L-I-N-G.
Are you an MD?
Yes.
What kind?
Board certified internal medicine, year of cardiology fellowship, and taught at Loma Linda University health science for 4 years.
Taught where?
Loma Linda University.
I'm taking notes, although I can't read my handwriting, so I don't know why. All right, Dr. Ruling. Are you still practicing as a physician?
I'm retired now.
Okay. Are you retired because you didn't need to work anymore, or because you became disenchanted?
I became disenchanted when I learned that prescription drugs are a leading cause of death. And I went through the U.S. Senate with medical literature to show that, until one senator said, "You're wasting your time. They own us."
He said, "You're wasting your time." What?
They own us. Speaking of the donations that pharmaceutical companies make to their reelection.
Glad I asked you to repeat that. All right, everybody, watch. How many of you want to be credible? You, with the baseball cap. What's your name here? Bill Masick. You want to be credible, Bill? Raise your hand. Thank you. I got a full screen of people with raised hands except Bill. I'm going to get a raised hand out of you if it's the last thing I do. Now, let me ask you something. Is credibility, if you want to enter the world of influencing people, is credibility important?
Yes.
Is it very important?
Yes.
Is it very, very, very important?
Yes.
Great. Now, let's examine something. And Omar, here's what I want to do. Right now, the audio quality seems pretty good. I want to take one or two other people off mute if I can, so I can have kind of a little bit of a group conversation, okay?
Yeah, do you want me to unmute some random people?
Yeah,
Okay.
unmute whoever you like.
Okay,
You know,
great.
whoever you think is going to have a good audio connection.
Okay.
Okay.
Patrick's volunteering.
All right. Patrick, are you on? Who's unmuted?
I'm unmuted, yes.
Here, right here. Right here, where the cursor is.
I'm unmuted.
Okay. Okay, Patrick, you're unmuted?
Yes, I am.
Who else is unmuted? Kimberly?
Hi.
Hi. Oh, great. All right, Patrick and Kimberly.
Miche.
Mike.
Miche.
Miche. Okay. Miche, tell me something. You think credibility is important?
Definitely, yeah.
Right. I'm going to ask a weird question, if I may. And I admit that it's oddly formulated, but there's a method to my madness.
All right, I'm ready.
What do you think, Miche? What do you think credibility is a function of?
It's a function of background or somehow proving that what you're saying has some backing.
Okay, good. Who else is unmuted?
I am.
Patrick, what do you think credibility is a function of?
I think credibility is a function of what others have said you've done to help them out,
What you've done to help them out?
or what other people have said about you that makes you credible.
Great, wonderful. So I happen to agree with that, which is not to say, Miche, that, you know, having a good background and having proof are not important. But strictly speaking, Miche, is it possible for someone to have a good background and for whatever reason you won't believe them?
Sure. And actually, I have not much of a background, and I'm very believable. So I'm the opposite.
Well, then either you're faking it well or you're doing something right.
I go for the second one.
Okay, great. We will try to find out what it is you're doing right so that we can all benefit from it. Now, Patrick, have you ever heard me speak before?
One time, yes.
So have you heard me address credibility before?
I have, but it's been a while.
So you cheated, didn't you? Okay, yes. I mean, the answer is so. What I now want everybody to do is resolve to completely socially reject Patrick for a minimum of 1 month. Once he is out of the doghouse, you may speak with him again. Because Patrick was faking brilliance, maybe brilliant, but he cheated. Okay, so we have all kinds of exotic humiliations in mind for you, Patrick, and I want you to look forward to them. But in all seriousness, this is really important. Is credibility, Kimberly, you tell me, is credibility intrinsic to the speaker or assigned by the listener?
Ooh, that's good. A little, oh, that's good. A little of both. Oh, that's good. A little of both?
Yes, but ultimately, I'm going to press you.
Oh, the listener. Yeah.
All right, good. Now, how many of you, when you hear that Dr. Richard Ruling is an MD, how many of you attribute a certain credibility to him?
Yes.
Now here's my next question. What's that worth?
Not much.
It's
Depends
worth
on
a
the
lot.
topic.
It's worth a lot. It's worth a lot. That reflex, when we attribute credibility to someone, is worth a lot. Now, if if Dr. Ruling here, Richard, if he were to come out and say, I'm an enemy of the pharmaceutical establishment. I'm an enemy of big pharma. I think that most prescription drugs either don't work or might actually be counterproductive or could even cause death. You know, in my day job, I'm a janitor at a school, but at night I am really exercised about prescription drugs. How many of you would take it seriously?
Right.
No.
Maybe, maybe not.
Hello.
They want you on CNN.
This is what's called a call from God.
Timing was unbelievable.
Somebody else is going to the doghouse.
Now, here's the deal. What I want and what I'll show you is from each and every one of you to have people attribute credibility to you as quickly as possible, even if you're not an MD. Would that be good? That would be good, yes?
That'd be good.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, and here's kind of a Zen koan in the matter. How many of you think it would be possible for you to have credibility even if you are new to a field?
Definitely possible.
It's possible. It's actually possible. And we may have a chance to get into that. So Richard must have a patient emergency, or someone that he's in love with is in the process of leaving.
I think the pharmaceutical just called him.
Yeah, I think this is a call from Pfizer or Eli Lilly saying, if you think you've got problems now, keep talking, brother.
It's the pharma industry.
Right. Now, so here's the deal. He said he's board certified in internal medicine. That's credible. He's got a background in cardiology. That's credible. He taught for 4 years at Loma Linda, which is a well-known school. That's credible. And he says the prescription drugs are the cause of death. That's a pretty inflammatory assertion, isn't it? Is that inflammatory?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Now, everybody watch me. The greater the claim, the greater the skepticism.
Yes.
I'm going to show you that again. The skepticism that you are met with will be in proportion to the claim that you make.
Absolutely.
Now, how many of you wake up in the morning just hoping to encounter skepticism? Raise your hand. All right. By the way, there's a guy here with glasses. Is your name Leonce? Unmute yourself. Is that your name?
I'm with you.
Okay. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
No. Leonce.
Leon?
Yes.
The C, but no A at the end. Leonce.
Leonce. Are you French?
Yes, I am French.
Okay. Wonderful. So Leonce, when I asked the question, he jumped. This is not a guy who craves skepticism. Now I'm going to make a strange statement. You want skepticism. Skepticism is an investment of energy. You want skepticism. Skepticism is your friend, provided you know how to handle it. You want skepticism. I'll show you, I hope we'll get a chance, a little bit about how to do with it. Now, Dr. Ruling here appears to have a very urgent phone call, so I'm going to go on and derive a couple of lessons from him and then move on to someone else. So when he states his degree, we assign credibility to him. Now, when a doctor says that prescription drugs are a cause of death, do we take that seriously?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we take it more seriously than we would if a real estate agent said it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or if a elementary school teacher said it?
Absolutely.
Right, we do. So
The one thing better would have been if he was with the pharma.
who's speaking?
Talking. Raise your hand if you're talking. Who was just speaking? Raise your hand. Go like this.
Trademark factory.
Trademark.
Andre?
Next screen.
Never mind. Go ahead. It was a joke. It was a bad joke.
Okay, Andre, what did you just say?
Hey, Joel, I said that the only thing better in terms of credibility would have been if the message came from somebody who was with the pharma.
Yes.
Yeah, but now, Andre, I'm gonna bring us up to that level. Ready? Suppose Dr. Ruling were to say, look, I have prescribed tens of thousands of medications in my life, and I absolutely believe as a medical doctor that there is a time and a place to do that. However, I also absolutely believe as a medical doctor that there is a time and a place not to do it, and an awful lot of doctors and really an awful lot of patients can't tell the difference between when it's right and when it's wrong. Now, would he have credibility on both sides? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
He'd have credibility on both sides, and he would not look like he was some militant, left-wing, tree-hugging, San Francisco-based wacko who wants to go out there and promote communism in the capitalist United States. Everybody following me?
Yep.
That's what we want. We want to nail that critique of him before it happens. Everybody get it?
Got it.
Got it.
We want him to grab that thing by the you-know-whats and get it out of the way before it happens. So he's going to say, I'm a medical doctor. I have saved lives by prescribing drugs. I have improved quality of life by prescribing drugs. That's the good side of the story. Here's what not enough people know. Prescription drugs are a leading cause not only of improving the quality of life, but of death. Now we think this guy is balanced. He has an even-handed view of things. We're going to listen to him. Okay? All this happens, and do we have a timer here? Here, watch. Get my handy-dandy iPhone. Okay. Stopwatch. I'm Dr. Richard Ruling. I have improved lives and saved lives by prescribing drugs for decades. I also happen to believe that there are times when prescription drugs do not improve the quality of life. In fact, they can cause death. That's 13 seconds. Now, in 13 seconds, he has put down an energy field. And we have a way of listening to him that gives him the respect that his degree deserves, but also we don't say, oh, you're some militant wacko that comes out of the fringe. Everybody understand that?
Yeah.
I have just been part of getting people who believe very strongly in UFOs. I have been part of getting them to be taken seriously instead of being viewed as part of the fringe. Everybody understand the challenge there?
Yeah.
Most people look at them as fringeoid, but these are people from the Pentagon, these are people from the CIA, these are people from the Department of Defense, these are people from the federal government. They know what they've seen, they have video of what they've seen, and they're not kidding. And there's film, and some of the people that took film are fighter pilots. Do you find fighter pilots believable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you find radar operators aboard aircraft carriers believable?
Yeah.
Yes.
You find air traffic controllers back home at the base looking at their monitors and screens believable?
Yeah.
Right. In the space of 8 days, this story shifted the conversation from a highly polarized conversation with skeptics and debunkers on the one hand, and so-called ufologists, UFO-ologists on the other hand, and it shifted the conversation squarely into the mainstream of our culture. Is that a big deal, or is that a big deal?
That's
Yeah.
That's a big damn deal. We did that. You got to be able to do that. All right. So since Dr. Ruling has gone off to deal with his romantic emergency, I'm going to move on to the next person. Who's next? Raise your hand. Kimberly, what do you do?
I am an actress, comedian, author, and speaker, and teacher, and teach.
Okay. Author, speaker, teacher of what?
Storytelling, and soon to teach comedy, hopefully to speakers and coaches and the like.
Okay. I'm going to put you on hold for a minute. Who else would like to work? Raise your hand. Sasha, what do you do? Unmute yourself.
general contractor. Handyman service.
Okay, maybe. Miche, what do you do?
I teach people how to bend spoons, and I coach them on self-love and superpowers. But I don't have a degree in that.
You're like a female Uri Geller?
More believable, even.
Good. He was a fraud.
I have people who know him, but okay, we won't go there.
All right. So tell us again, you teach people to bend spoons.
Right, using their mind and their hands as a way to show us what we're really capable of when we get out of our own way and drop limiting beliefs and be open to possibility.
Okay. I'm going to maybe come back to you. Who else is volunteering? Jan. Unmute yourself, Jan.
Okay, unmuted. Can you hear me?
Now I do.
Okay.
What do you do, Jan?
I help people talk better. I do that from the stage, help people create vibrant content, story, and present better. And I do that in the workplace.
Okay.
One-to-one, helping them have difficult conversations and the things that they need to do.
Okay. So let me go to the next screen here. Patricia, take yourself off mute. Go ahead.
Patricia, hold on. Do you see her last name? Oh, I see it. Fuqua. There you go. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I help professional women date successfully the second time around.
You help professional women date successfully the second time around?
Correct.
So, if you're a professional woman and you're dating the first time around, you can't offer anything.
I can, but my niche is second time around.
Or if you're dating the second time around, but you're not professional, you can't offer anything, right?
I can.
All right, hold on. Okay. Everybody understand what I just did?
Uh-huh.
Okay, she said I help professional women. I'm back to a screen that she's not on, by the way. So Patricia, we got a lot of people here, so I'll go back and forth. All I want to do is, look, I come from prime time in the radio capital of planet Earth, which is called Los Angeles. Just so you'll know, LA is the radio capital of planet Earth because New York, which is the media capital of planet Earth, commuters there commute underground in the subway. In LA, they commute on the freeways. So number 2 is number 1. Okay? Everybody follow? So she said she helps professional women date successfully the second time around. So if you're not a professional woman, she can't help you. Okay? If you don't have a degree, if you're not professional, forget it. If you're home alone in your bathrobe and you don't have a degree, she ain't got nothing for you. Not a freaking thing. Right? Where are you, Patricia?
I'm still here.
Or
watching you shatter my niche. I'm waiting for the solution.
Hold on. I just want you to understand what you have done in terms of defining your marketplace. Okay?
Okay.
I get that is a tone of unbridled enthusiasm.
Well, shattering is not making me happy, but I'm waiting for the other shoe.
What's not making you happy?
Shattering my niche, my refined niche.
I'm not trying to shatter your niche, but I am trying to show you something.
Okay.
I'm a broadcaster. I'm not a narrowcaster.
Okay.
Everybody understand that? I got to go back to the other screen. Nod your head if you understand what I just said.
Yeah.
I'm a broadcaster, not a narrowcaster. I can absolutely narrowcast with the best of them. But for God's sake, why would you exclude not? You go on my old station, KABC Radio, and you say, all of you lonely, non-professional women out there, turn off your radios now. I can't do an effing thing for you. Relatedly, any of you people that are in romances for the first time around or trying to be in romances for the first time around, flee now while you can, because this conversation will not involve you. Now, let me ask you something. Why do that, Patricia?
I have discovered that professional women generally are those women who I can relate to better. I am one myself, and so I tend to help the people who speak my language or I speak their language. And generally they have money to pay my prices.
What's your profession?
Dating coach. Before this, if you want that, I was an English American literature teacher with a master's degree in high school teaching and adult ed.
You taught adult ed.
Excuse me?
Right? You
I
taught
didn't hear
adult ed.
No, I couldn't hear you.
I'm just repeating that you taught adult ed, right?
I taught high school English and adult ed.
I know. Got it. So if I were you and I came on to KABC Radio, if you had the good fortune to be on my old radio show, you know what I would say if I were you?
What?
I've been a teacher my whole life of one thing or another. I used to teach adult ed, and one of the things I learned is that you can teach English, you can teach math, you can teach English as a second language in adult ed, but one of the things that matters most to people is romance, and no one's teaching that in adult ed.
Oh.
My God.
And then you could say, and not only that, I'm a professional woman, and I have a lot of exposure to other professional women, and they have their lives together, and they're obviously smart people, they're intelligent people, but the one area that they often haven't nailed is the one that's closest to their heart. It actually is their heart.
Ooh. Right there.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm doing, Patricia?
Yes.
Now you own the whole freaking audience. And I'm not even done. I'm getting warmed up. And then you got to say this. And all you men listening out there, you want to hear the secrets to getting the woman of your dreams? You want to hear what they really think, what they really feel, what they really long for? Listen up, because this conversation is about them. But oh boy, is it going to yield benefits for you.
Hallelujah.
Now, what did I just do, ladies and gentlemen? I just quadrupled minimum the demographic appeal of what she's doing. Everybody understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Compare what I just did to, I'm a coach for professional women who are dating successful, who want to date successfully the second time around, which has enough exclusions to be a legal contract written by some lawyer.
Okay. You're funny.
Very much. I love the way you speak the truth so openly.
Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, what we are doing here is something called broadening your demographics. This is critical. Now, let's talk about the double-edged sword of the internet. Is the internet the ultimate medium whereby you can find your niche market? Yes or yes? It is. It really is. It's great. If you have, you know, if somebody wants to do a show on the internet or a website on the internet that appeals to owners of miniature poodles between 18 and 24 pounds, they'll get an audience. If you want to do something on the internet, fallen vegetarians, people who tried to be vegetarian and couldn't hack it, you'll get an audience. If you want to appeal to me, short Jewish men who understood at a very young age that they would never get a tall woman and had to adapt, you'll get an audience. That's the wonder of the internet. There's an art to, as Marci Shimoff of Chicken Soup fame once said, there is an art to growing rich in your niche. I deal with that. But right now, what I have shown you is something else. And here, I need you to pay very, very close attention. I'm going to go flip the screen back to Patricia
Fuqua.
There you are.
Yes.
Now, Patricia, listen to me, my dear. Are you listening?
I am. Yes.
Even if you only wanted to deal with professional women who want to date successfully the second time around, can you understand that going on my old radio show in Los Angeles would be a great idea for you, even though it contains non-professional women, people that aren't dating, and men? Can you understand that the demographic that you seek would actually be contained within that big pie? Can you understand that?
Yes.
Everybody understand that?
Absolutely.
Yep.
What I'm talking about here is the art and science of demographics. In other words, her slice of the pie is contained in the pie. Everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Now, I don't think she should limit herself to professional women the second time around. I really don't. I think she could say, look, I happen to be a professional woman. I may be looking for romance a second time around, or I coach women who are in that situation. But trust me, if I can help them, I can help anyone, including males. But the point of the matter is this. This art and science of broadening your demographics is the way you hit the big leagues. Anybody here want to go to the big leagues?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. My clients just got on the biggest of the big leagues, and the world has not been the same since. They got on the front page of the New York Times on Sunday. Is that good or is that good?
Good.
That's good. They got on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, Fox News. Is that good or is that good?
Awesome.
The best.
We're changing the world by going broad. I got no objection to going narrow. Be able to go broad. Everybody follow that?
Yep.
Got it.
And in fact, I want to show you a little example of that very quickly, if I may.
Uh-oh.
You know, this. Okay, everybody listen up, please. You're going to love this, and this will show you the power of being able to go broad. Now, I got a call after I left KABC Radio. I got a call from a company called the Phonics Game. Anybody here ever heard of Hooked on Phonics?
Yes.
Or the Phonics Game?
Yeah.
Good. These are companies that have literacy programs, reading programs for kids. Everybody follow me? Yes. They're two mega successful companies. They compete with each other. Hooked on Phonics and the Phonics Game. Now, I get a call after I have hung out my shingle as a consultant and when I was creating this business, which thank God has been a very blessed business. Now, I get a call from the vice president of the Phonics Game. Wait till you hear this. You'll never forget this as long as you live. And he says, hey, I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and he said, we want you to come down to Orange County, and we want you to work with us. I said, really? And he said, yeah. I said, you know, forgive me, but you guys are making gazillions of dollars. I ought to know because I read your ad copy when I was on KABC Radio in LA. He said, yeah, we're making a lot of money. I said, well, what's up? He said, we're making millions of dollars selling literacy programs for kids. He said, what you don't know is that we've just spent a few $1 million developing a literacy program for adults. We have a passion. We want to teach illiterate adults to read. And he said, the problem is this. We're willing to spend some time on advertising, but we want to go on your old radio station and talk about adult illiteracy, and they won't let us because only 3% of their audience is illiterate. You follow?
Yeah.
Everybody nod your heads. Mike Bridgman, nod your head. John D., Richard Ruling, everybody nod your heads. Nick Simmons, you listening? Good. Thank you. So here was the problem. That's a pie chart with a little sliver that says 3%. Now, do you think my old radio station with 250,000 people that I used to talk to at a time is going to put a topic on that addresses a problem that only 3% of the audience has? Are they going to do that?
No.
They're not going to do that. They're simply not going to do that. So the Phonics Game was getting a no from a station that they had spent money on. Oh my. Now, I want to ask somebody here a question. So, Dr. Rulin, you're back. Richard, unmute yourself. Omar, can you unmute Richard here?
Yeah, you're good now.
Hey, thanks so much. I'm sorry I had to take a phone call, but I am back.
All right. We already solved all of your problems, which in your case were really extensive while you were gone. But now I've got a question for you. Ready?
Yes.
It doesn't have to do with your medical practice. We've had to move on, but I've got another question for you. You're following the question, the issue of illiteracy, right?
Right.
Are you illiterate?
No.
Can you read?
Yes.
Can you read well?
Very well.
Damn.
Not fast.
Rats. He's not our market, is he? Is he our market?
No.
Rats. Let me ask you something, Richard. Can I call you Richard?
Yes, that's fine.
Good, because I was going to anyway. You pay taxes?
Not at this point.
Have you paid taxes?
Yes, I have.
Let me ask you something. In our culture, do you think that illiterate people will make as much money on average as literate people?
Not, definitely not. No.
They will not. Everybody agree that the average income of illiterates is likely to be lower than literate, right? Everybody agree? Good. Where's Richard? He disappeared.
I'm here.
Where? Oh. Okay. So here's the deal. So Richard, we've agreed that illiterates have a lower income than literates on average, right?
Yes.
They therefore are they more likely to be on welfare than literates?
Yes.
Who pays for welfare?
Literates.
Good point. Good point.
Who pays for welfare?
Literates.
Taxpayers.
Taxpayers. Were you a taxpayer?
Yes.
A literate taxpayer? And you are paying for illiterates?
Good point.
Hold on. Now, I got another guy here. Mike Bridgman, unmute yourself, please. Okay, say hello. Muted.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I think I'm on.
Can you hear me, Mike?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Now,
Yes, sir.
let me ask you something. Where do you live?
South of Baltimore, Maryland, near Annapolis.
Near Baltimore, Maryland.
Yes, sir.
Are there gangs, street gangs in Baltimore, Maryland?
Probably it's in third place behind Chicago.
Are there prisons in Maryland?
Yes.
Are there violent criminals that are housed in those prisons in Maryland?
More violent than you can possibly imagine. It's a seminar.
I'm going to use California as an example for a moment because although we live in Nashville, we lived in LA for quite a number of years, and I'm basically a Californian. As you can tell, I do not have a Southern accent. So Mike, tell me something. Take a wild guess. What do you think the rate of illiteracy is in the city of Los Angeles? And I'm not talking about immigrants who came, later in life. I'm talking about American-born people in the city of Los Angeles. What do you think the rate of illiteracy is?
That would be difficult to say because I'm not familiar with Los Angeles in that way.
All right,
but I would imagine
try Baltimore.
Well, Baltimore, if you want to know, if you're asking me about the prison population, it's probably in the high 80s or 90%.
I'm not asking about the prison population. I'm asking about the population out there in non-prison land.
I would guess that based on the graduates in high school and stuff like that, they only graduate about half of the people that attend high school. So I would say half of the population.
That's too much. But let's put it this way. The estimates are that among native-born Americans living in the greater Los Angeles area who really should be literate, but for whatever reason are not, probably it's between 5 and 10%. Okay?
I agree. I mean, I can agree with that. I don't know it, but
all right. Now, what do all of you think the rate of illiteracy would be in San Quentin prison?
20.
Mike, take a wild guess. San Quentin prison, by the way, is a big, big prison in California.
Yes, I'm familiar with that. The fact that people are illiterate is where they don't have choices in life, and that's why they end up in prison. So I'd have to say it's pretty high. Probably 70%. Just a wild guess.
It's probably around 50.
Really?
Now, yeah. So everybody look, and you know, it could be a little higher. So everybody look at me. Suppose the rate on the street of illiteracy in LA, California is 5%, and in San Quentin it's 50%. Is that a significant difference?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, I come back to my thing. Literacy. I talked to, who did I talk to about taxes? Dr. Ruling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I talked, where is he? He's on another.
Right
here.
Right here.
Okay. So I talked to him about taxes, and Mike, I talked to you about prison. Everybody watch. Remember, the phonics game could not get on my old radio station because they estimated that only 3% of KABC's listeners were illiterate. Everybody follow that?
Yes.
Now watch. I'm going to do the opening monologue for As I Would Have Done It on KABC. Ready? I'm going to time it.
Okay.
790 KABC Talk Radio Los Angeles. I'm Joel Roberts. You may be literate, but trust me, illiteracy is hitting you in your wallet. Why? Number one, do you pay taxes? Of course you do. Two, do illiterates make as much money on average as literates do? The answer is pretty much self-evident. Of course they don't. Are they more likely to be on welfare? Of course they are. Who's paying for that? Take a wild guess. Let me ask you something else. What do you think the rate of illiteracy is on the streets of LA here? Here's the answer. About 3 to 5%. What do you think the rate of illiteracy is in San Quentin prison? Here's the answer. 50%, a minimum of 10 times more. So let me ask you something. Are you paying for...
I'm back on the phone.
Yes. Are you paying for the higher crime rate? Yes. Those people in prison, might they not be committing crimes if they could read? Don't know, but it's possible, really likely actually. So let's talk about a problem that's affecting us all called illiteracy. In 1 minute, I just grabbed the whole audience.
You did.
Get it?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Now, Patricia. She's off camera.
There she is, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
There she is.
Patricia, all right. Patricia?
Yes.
You understand what I just did?
Right.
Good. I want you to press your lips against the computer and give me a big smooch.
Mwah! I like a man who asks for what he wants.
Oh, I'm married, sorry.
So am I. We're having fun here.
Everybody get it?
Yep.
We are scratching the surface. We are barely scratching the surface. But what have we learned here? And Omar, how long do you want this whole thing to go?
We end at 6.
We end at 6, so I can do one more?
Yeah, and just leave yourself time at the end.
Okay. Who have I done so far? I did. Who have I done so far?
Patricia,
I did. Did I do?
Kimberly. No, we didn't.
Who?
Dr. Ruling.
Oh, Dr. Ruling, except he went and had to perform surgery on someone that didn't need it. Which two?
Patricia and Dr. Ruling.
Okay. So that means I've done one male, one female. Who's volunteering to be next?
Can I go next?
Maybe. Alyssa, unmute yourself. Or Omar, unmute Alyssa, please. Alyssa.
Alyssa, I can't find.
Alyssa Wolf.
Alyssa Wolf. You got more than
Oh,
one minute.
okay. Got it. There you go.
Hi, say something. Can't
You're-
hear her.
You're unmuted, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Hi,
Hi, what do you do?
I'm a recruiter.
You're on a delay speaking through your phone.
Okay, hang on.
Okay, I'll pick someone else. Who, let me, Deborah. Deborah. Omar, can you unmute Deborah? I don't have her last name in front of me.
Average is.
Average, something about average.
There you go.
Hi, Deborah.
Hello there. Thank you for choosing me.
So, Deborah, come a little closer to the computer, to the microphone. What do you
Got
do?
it. Thank you. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, what do you do?
I'm an elite performance strategist. So
Okay.
my story is I went from answering phones as a receptionist to owning and running a $20 million corporation, and now have worked with NFL players as well as elite entrepreneurs and business professionals, basically top performers around the world.
I just have to say something, Deborah.
Please.
Are you excited about what you do?
I actually do love what I do when I'm coaching. I don't like thinking about what I do and trying to come up with the words to explain it.
Yeah, because, you know, with all due respect, I just got to tell you, the way you talked about this, I thought maybe somebody was holding a gun to your head.
No, I'm just trying to reach across my desk and look at myself on the camera, which is on a whole different screen, and see you. And so it's logistics. It's not the enthusiasm about what I do.
You went from answering phones to building a $20 million corporation?
I didn't build it, but I owned it. So I became a stockholder, and then, you know, I was 25 years in the world of construction and started out as a receptionist. So I did all that on a high school diploma.
So you ended up owning a construction company?
Correct. And sold it about 15 years ago.
For 20 million?
Well, the company was, our revenue averaged around 20 million.
So now you're an elite performance strategist?
Correct. And open to change the title. I combine 35 years of studying neurosciences, brain research, NLP, hypnosis, body language, conscious language, all that stuff that I studied on my own through different mentors and scientists and such, with my corporate background, which allows me to work with people. And I have a book called Averages and Addiction, From Mediocre to Millions, typically called Up Yours, because that's what I do, is up your power, up your performance, and up your profits. And also have a tagline of average sucks. So gives you a little bit of taste of my personality.
I'm glad you told me that because I wouldn't have known.
No, well, I've also driven 600 horsepower race cars and dove with great white sharks, cage diving, and a lot of risky things because I love it.
One of the things that I would love for you to do
Yes.
is, obviously you're a smart woman. You've got a kind of a wonderful sense of humor. You've got intellect, but you also have a very, very narrow band emotionally within which you speak.
Yes.
Are you aware of
Very
that?
authoritative. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you're kind of, well, I'm in the business of elite performance coaching, and I took a company from being a receptionist answering phones to $20 million, which some people think is really good, and I think is really, really good. And also,
I get it.
Also, I'm in the business of teaching men how to sexually satisfy women, which is obviously, as you can tell, a very high priority for me. And you know, it's like you could be talking about anything and make it a monotone, and that's got to change.
Right. Got it.
You will all forgive me for being straight.
Oh, that's what I do. I'm no BS, so it doesn't hurt my feelings at all.
Okay. I mean, I just got to tell you something that if I'm going to get excited about working with you, I got to see that you're excited about what you're doing, for God's sake.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. I agree.
All right. Now, here's the deal. So who do you work with?
Well, I've worked with some NFL players in the past. Currently, I'm working with mainly entrepreneurs around the world. I'm doing speaking around leadership to various, groups of preferably C-level, but mid to C-level, managers and entrepreneurs. They're usually have been in business and are profitable,
Okay. All right. So everybody look at me. I'm going to go to the other screens here, although most of them, they're there, but they didn't put themselves on video. That's okay. So I want to say hello to some other people though. So Shai, hello. Patricia, hello. Ellen, hello. Hazel, hello. Jan, hello. Wendy, hello. Others who are putting themselves on camera, hello. Thank you. Curtis Banks, hello. We appreciate your joining us. You're not on my main screen, and I apologize, but I'm not ignoring you. So, Deborah.
Yes.
The problem that I have here is I don't know what the problem is that you solve.
And I totally get that.
Now, we're going to talk a little bit about this, folks. Here's the thing. That is probably the single most important question you will ever ask yourself as an entrepreneur. What is the problem you are the answer to? Let's put it this way. I promise you, you will never ask yourselves a more important question than that as an entrepreneur. You will never ask yourselves a more important question than what is the problem you are the answer to? And in fact, I'm going to amplify that a little bit more. I'm going to flesh that out a little bit more and tell you that you really have to answer three questions. Number one, what is the problem you are the answer to? Number two, who has that problem? And number three, what's the cost of not doing what you say? Unless and until we have absolute cellular clarity about what the problem is you are the answer to, we don't know if we need to work with you or not. How would we? We just had a plumber in our home the other day because our garbage disposal stopped working. But we don't have plumbers in our home unless we've got problems. I mean, it could well happen that we might have a friend who happens to be a plumber. But we don't call plumbers unless the toilets don't flush or the sinks don't stop or the garbage disposal stops working. Most selling propositions are defined by the problem that they solve or the opportunity that they present, which are simply flip sides of the same coin. Everybody understand that? Here's the deal. You have got to have cosmic clarity about what the problem is that you solve. Go ahead, Deborah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your flow. What I have found with pretty much all of my clients, whether they're athletes or business professionals or entrepreneurs, is that where I come in is when they have been successful to a point and they have now started to plateau. And as a top performer, they get frustrated, ticked off, disappointed, everything with themselves. Profits go down or their paycheck goes down, and they don't know what to do about it. And oftentimes, because they're a top performer, they don't even want to ask for help because they think they should solve it themselves.
Do you only want to work with top performers?
Not necessarily. I want to work with people who can pay me and people who are passionate and actually doing something in the world. So it's more of a personality type that I like to work with.
Hey, everybody watch. So, if you were to get on my old radio station and say, look, I am an elite performance strategist, the whole audience is going to go, they're driving along in their cars on the 405 freeway or the 10 freeway in Los Angeles, and they're saying to themselves, I don't know if I'm an elite performer or not.
Right. What the hell is that?
They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. And meanwhile, they're like lost in the question. We call that a split listening. It's when the audience is trying to track you in real time, but they're also trying to figure out what you just said, and their attention has split. Everybody follow that?
Right.
That's dangerous. Now, so I ask myself, am I an elite performer? I think probably I am. But I don't know. By whose definition?
Right.
Yours, mine, my wife's. My wife definitely thinks I'm an elite performer. Okay? I've been able to produce really tangible results. But now I got an audience asking themselves, boy, I don't really know where I rank. Ladies and gentlemen, your relationship with problems is the most important relationship you have as an entrepreneur. I don't think I will ever do this, but some days I am tempted to rewrite the Bible. I'm not going to do it.
That'll take a few weeks.
I'd like to write the Bible for business people. And here would be a verse that I would create. Everybody look up. Brendan, look at me. Thank you. Here would be a verse that I would create. And God so loved entrepreneurs that he created problems. And God so loved entrepreneurs that he created problems, because that's what we do. We solve problems.
Right.
And we create opportunities, flip side of the same coin. Now I'm going to make a really, really strange statement that happens to be quite true. It's going to sound not only simple, but simplistic, except I make it consciously. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. In the entire universe, there are only two kinds of problems. You can read all of the spiritual literature, you can read all of the philosophical literature, you can read all of the sacred literature from all the great wisdom traditions of the world, and it all comes down to one fundamental truth. There are two kinds of problems in the entire universe. Problems you have and problems you don't. That's it. That's it. Done. Problems you have and problems you don't. Your job. And I welcome you on the second screen here. Cole, Wendy, Hazel, Ellen, Patricia, Jan, others, Tammy, Brenda. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Problems you, Shy, there you are again. I welcome all of you. There are two kinds of problems. Problems you have and problems you don't. That's it. Your job as a communicator is to either address the problem I have or to get me to have the problem you address. Get it?
Got it.
You are in the problem distribution business. Learn to do it well.
Problem distribution?
All right.
And that's how
Yes.
you grab an audience quickly.
Yes. Shall we?
Yeah, go ahead. I just want to add, folks, you know, if you really want to grab an audience quickly, whether you're doing it in person on a stage or in a sales pitch, or whether you're doing it on a website, you want to grab your audience, you've got to speak to that problem right away, even in an interview. Kind of no matter what they ask you, you've got to talk to their problem, where they live, what they care about, what they are motivated to know about. That's your beginning. And we can help you craft that and make it, you know, really sound sexy, but that's where you got to go. It's the secret to the universe of all of this stuff. Speak to the problem, sell the problem before you sell the solution.
Thank you, Heidi. Wow. This is the thing, folks. Sell the problem before you sell the solution. I would like to take this opportunity to tell you about something that Omar has asked us to do for you. And we have decided to do one of our online 2-day programs called The Millionaire Mouth Online for you folks. And it solves a real simple problem, which is how can you compellingly talk about your work? How do you sound like nobody else in the universe, no matter what stage you're at, no matter what field you're in? And I want to say something about Omar for a moment here. This is going to sound sentimental, but it's true. Omar has assisted at more of our events than anyone else we know, with the exception of one woman that he often assists with, Gloria. We love Omar. Omar has heart, mind, integrity. He's done it for free. When we were living in Los Angeles, and I guess, Omar, do you live in the greater LA area?
I did. Now I'm in Albany. I'm going to be back in LA soon.
When we were living in LA and doing our events in LA, before we converted them to online interactive things like this, Omar was there. And we said to Omar, "You want to get paid?" And he said, "Pay it forward." And he asked us to pay it forward to you. So we're going to do something with you that we have not done with other people. And this is the God's honest truth. There's a lot of BS out there, but we really are paying it forward at Omar's request. And I'm just going to ask you to believe me and believe him when we say that, because we are truly about to do something that we've never done before, and I don't know that we will ever do it again. Everybody follow me?
Yes.
We're going to offer our trademark course at a fraction of the price that we normally charge. This is our way of thanking Omar, because frankly, that's how he asked us to thank him, by passing it on to you. So before we do anything, please everybody give Omar a hand. I mean it, folks. This is no BS. It's just true. It's just before God Almighty true. We are going to do an online 2-day event. The dates are February 24th and 25th, Saturday and Sunday. The time will be 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern. Again, that's 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Saturday and Sunday, both days. It is going to be intense. It is going to make this look mellow. It is going to show you ways that you can craft that singular signature in the marketplace so that you sound like nobody else. We're going to show you templates. We're going to show you models. I will tell you right now, I have an ambivalent relationship with models. Everybody, please look at me for a moment. I am of two minds about formulas. I'm just telling you the truth of my heart. On the one hand, I love formulas because they make things easier, don't they?
They do.
I want to tell you why I hate formulas. Because people sound formulaic. I don't want you to sound formulaic. Melinda, I love the way you nod. I'm going to tour with you and you can nod. I love formulas. I'm an enemy of the formulaic. Everybody get it?
Yep.
So the formulas that I'm going to give you are not so you can sound like me, it's so they can sound like you. You get it? I hate effing communications courses where everybody sounds like the leader. My mother was right. One of me was redundant. You don't need to sound like me. You need to sound like you. I am passionately devoted to getting people to sound like them. We are going to talk about things that you can say so that the audience bathes you in credibility from moment one, or else you ain't got liftoff, folks. We are going to talk about how you can handle skepticism, and look at me, how and why you should even want to evoke it. Yeah, somebody just said, right. You may think, good God, why would I want to evoke skepticism? The answer is, I'll tell you why. Any of you ever watched a baseball game? Raise your hand if you've watched a baseball game. Andre Minkoff, have you watched a baseball game? You've never watched a baseball game? You freaking Ruski. Sasha, have you watched a baseball game?
I have.
You have. Andre, you have no excuse. Sasha is Russian and he's watched a baseball game. Get with North America, man. Here's the deal. If you've watched a baseball game, do you know that some pitchers can throw the ball 100 miles an hour?
Yes.
If you're not real skilled, would that be hard to hit?
Yes.
But what if you are real skilled? Would you want the 100-mile-an-hour pitch?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, because the laws of physics. Look, the last few weeks I've been dealing with physicists who study aircraft that are flying around our atmosphere that have characteristics that they cannot explain. Okay? I'm bathed in the laws of physics. I can tell you one thing. If you've got a baseball bat in your hand and you swing it right, you want the 100-mile-an-hour pitch because you've got the best chance of knocking it over the fence. Everybody understand?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about not only how to handle skepticism, but how to evoke it. We're going to talk about how to identify the problem that you are the answer to and how to describe your solution to it in a way that leaves nobody standing but you. Would that be nice?
That'd be awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I get a witness?
Oh, yeah.
Hallelujah.
Kimberly, I used to be the piano player for a black gospel chorus. I know you find that not only unlikely, but doubly unlikely. Yes, I am the only white Jewish guy you'll ever meet that was the piano player for a black gospel chorus. And if you want, I can go into the next room. They might even be able to hear and prove it to you. You could hear it.
I can hear that you have soul.
Thank you. So who's this for?
Hey, Maria, it's Deborah.
Here's what it's going to look like. It's going to
Good,
be
good. I had us down for 5, is it?
What?
Sorry, go on. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
It's going to be 100% interactive. These 2 days, I'm not going to lecture. It's going to be interactive. We're going to do message makeovers. And every time I work with an individual, everybody else will learn. We'll be able to break you into small groups. Everybody, 3-4 people at a time. Then we'll bring you back to the class. It's wonderful. There will be constant feedback and refining of your message. This is for everybody. It's for established professionals. It's for authors. It's for trainers. It's for coaches. You can absolutely be in transition because the principles of communication are the same. All right. Ordinarily, this goes for like $24.95 sometimes, depending on what venue we're in. $14.95 for Omar's group. We have never done this, and this is just the truth before God, and I'll go put my hand on a Bible. Okay? It is $845. You will register via Omar. We invite every one of you. We've never done it before at this price. We may not do it again. This is our way of thanking Omar. One moment.
I just put the link in the chat box, you guys, so you can see that. Check the chat box. It's infopreneuragency.com/JR, as in Joel Roberts.
We absolutely invite every single one of you to do it. We may be sharing this with some others of your colleagues in this group. This will be limited to 50 people so that I have a chance of interacting with everybody over the course of the 2 days. All right? Does anybody have any questions about this? All you got to do is raise your hand. Omar will unmute you. Patricia, do you have a question?
Can't hear you.
So, could you? It's supposed to be at the bottom of my phone, but I don't see it.
We can hear you now.
We can hear you, Patricia.
Okay, where is the chat box so I can get that link?
Omar, where's the chat box when you're doing it on a phone?
Yeah, on the phone, it's you might have to click on the .. symbol. It stands for more. If you don't see it,
it says raise hand, go faster, another more. Okay, let me go there.
Omar, you're
look
also
for
going to
chat.
right?
Sorry, say that one more time.
You'll also be emailing them the link, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I will be.
Okay, good. I'll wait because the chat isn't there.
Just remember, it's infopreneuragency.com/JR, and I'm going to show a slide with it in a moment. I wouldn't recommend waiting for the email because, like he said, it's only 50 people available max. It could fill up right now, you know.
I really invite all of you. We're going to.
Can you put up that slide, Omar?
Yeah.
Also, our contact information. If anybody has any questions or wants to talk about this, you're welcome to talk to me directly. And Omar has that information. Can you put that up?
Yes, one moment, please.
I'm Heidi again. I know a lot of you, but not everybody. So you're welcome to call or email. We're not seeing that, but it's
just
coming.
A moment. Yeah, just a moment.
So somebody has asked, will we need microphones and webcams? It'll be like this. It'll be done on Zoom. You'll need whatever you have now.
But yes, we do need to see you. So you need some sort of camera on either your phone or your computer. And if you don't have one, they're very easy to get. We can help you with that. They're not expensive.
a fraction of the price that it normally is. This is our way of thanking Omar. I hope you will all thank him for being so incredibly generous, because we did offer to pay this guy more than once. And this is the thank you that he wanted, and I think that's a remarkable thing. I really do. Does anybody have any questions? Omar, I'd love to see the group again if I can before we go.
Sure.
All right, because I want to say goodbye and blow kisses. Anybody have any questions? Andre, do you have a question? Unmute yourself. Andre, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Andre.
I have a testimonial. Would that work?
That's fine with me.
So, yeah, first of all, to confirm about the price range, I remember I took something similar. It was more than twice is what you're offering today. Like, I've seen you do this in person. I've seen you do this online. You're amazing.
That's why, Andre, I was really
very
ambivalent about seeing you.
I know. I keep coming back because every time.
I knew this is a guy who paid a lot more. And what can I tell you?
It was worth every penny. So, and really so good that I wanted to come back and just, to me, it's a refresher of everything you teach. It's so good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments before we go? Can you move?
Just raise your hand. Oh, Sasha, go ahead.
Any other questions, comments before we go?
Yeah, Sasha.
Omar, it's your show.
Sasha, go ahead.
In preparation for the course or classes, there's something you would recommend to focus on, or just a list of things that you have sent, Omar? That would be
to focus on, to prepare for working with me. The most important thing you can do is get a really good night's sleep the night before.
Okay, yeah, because as far as being in transition, I mean, the goal is working on dealing with people to overcome victimhood, and so with that, there's some experience that I've had in working with people, but again, it's want to grow that.
Is that what you do? You work with people to overcome victimhood?
No, at this point, as a handyman service, but I do volunteer work as well that I do.
Mm-hmm. So did you have a question? I'm not quite clear.
The preparation, that was the question, is the preparation for the event.
Really, okay, just know what it is you want to work on. Bring, even if you're in transition, bring something to work on so that you can flex the muscles during the exercises that we do. It could even be your handyman or your construction business, or it could be your volunteer work helping people overcome victimhood, but some subject matter that will enable us. It'll be like the weight that you are lifting during the exercises that we do. And then, when you develop the muscle, you can use the muscle to lift whatever weight is there. Muscle's muscle.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
I can work with that. Thank you.
My pleasure. Totally my pleasure. And by the way, how many of my grandparents were from Russia? Well, one from Russia, one from Ukraine.
Yeah. That's Turkish.
Ukraine, no, not Turkish. No. I mean Ukrainian. But anyway, Kiev. Anyone else?
Yeah,
yes.
I want to say it was like refreshing, and you're amazing to be able to actually broadcast, because in the marketing and coaching world these days, everybody's talking about how to get down to that 3% or less in the pie, and it's good. Thanks.
You know what? We will be talking about how to be in, how to address the 3%. We'll also be talking about the 97%. You've got to go both ways. I was on stage once with Mark Victor Hansen. I mentioned him before. And somebody in the audience said, hey, Mark Victor Hansen's talking about grow rich in your niche, and Joel is talking about broadcasting. Who's right? And Mark and I were both live on stage, and we both shouted out, both of us, not knowing that the other one would do it, because you've got to be able to go both ways. I am Jack Canfield's media coach. I just, at Jack's request, did a special training for him and another group of people from the Transformational Leadership Council that we conducted in Tucson, Arizona. This was Jack's hand-picked group. Jack and his buddies, some of the highest, most, high-profile teachers in the world. You got to be able to go both ways. And that excites me. The internet, Misha, has made narrowcasting possible in a way that was not possible before. You go on eBay and you Google whatever exotic thing you're looking for, a piece of china that was made in England from 1875 to 1885 that has no nicks in it. You type it in the search field and boom, it's there. But you also have to be able to go the other way.
Right. I tend to want to be in the broad. And I guess as far as a niche, I feel like, well, I could have 5 different niches.
Yes, and here's the thing, my friend. So everybody look, and then I'll let you go, but sometimes going to the broad is the only way to get to the niche. Everybody understand that? Mm-hmm. Look, I'm an avid cyclist, okay? I'm not Joe Athlete, but probably you don't want to mess with me in a bike race. I'm an avid cyclist. I read cycling magazines. A lot of people don't, but they still ride bikes, don't they? So if I go on KABC Radio Los Angeles and I want to only talk to cyclists, it's a tiny percentage of the people. But if I talk to parents who want their kids to be safe on a bike, it's a huge percentage of the people. You get it? But also the avid cyclists will hear what I'm talking about, and they wouldn't hear it if I didn't broaden the demographics to pitch it to the full audience. You get it? You've got to be able, it's like an accordion. You got to go both ways. And we're going to do that. Great comment. Anything else? Yes, Melinda.
Hi, how are you? Thank you. It's nice to meet you. Chris Burns and Joe Ignacio referred me over to you guys for this, and I'm really excited. I'm currently in an incredible transformation right now. I just walked out of hospice from terminal cancer, eliminated it out of my DNA, and now I'm taking over the world. I've gone on to complete my master's and now my doctorate at UCI for preventive medicine. And I really am at that place, right, where I'm ready to go, but I'm still overcoming so much. And I really want to be able to participate, but I am a 5-star chef, and I don't know if there's any way I can work something out with you for this, because I mean, the only thing I have is my skill to barter right now. I don't know what else to do.
Paul Heidi. Area code.
Yeah,
right.
I'm in Orange County. And
Melinda.
Yes.
Nashville now.
Okay.
the phone number is in the chat box. So check the chat box. I put all the information in there.
Okay, for Joel.
Yeah, it's Joel's office, and it'll go to Heidi.
Okay. Okay.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
I have a quick question, Patricia.
Yes.
My quick question. It appears that you're teaching us to broadcast to end narrowcast, and we can use this skill on radio shows. Is that where you're going, or
anywhere? It's the same skill set. I've got some good news and some bad news. Ready?
Yeah.
It's all media now.
Mm-hmm. For visibility, you're saying.
Well, I'm saying even the way that people who are not listening to the media or watching the media, their minds have been so conditioned by the media culture that for better or for worse, it's all media now. So you have got to become that broadcaster and that publisher that I was talking about. This is the thing, Patricia. The human mind has changed. The attention span of human beings has diminished. So there is actually a very interesting dual dynamic that is at stake here. Everybody watch. On the one hand, because the internet has enabled everybody to speak with everybody everywhere, anytime you open your mouth, Patricia, the stakes are higher than ever before because the audience is just immense now. You follow what I'm saying? At the same time, the attention span of human beings has gone down. So you've got one arrow pointing up, the stakes are higher than ever before because there are more people than ever. And you've got one arrow pointing down, the moment is briefer than ever before because the attention span is briefer. You follow what I'm saying, Patricia?
Yes, I do, Joel.
This is the dual dynamic into which we must speak. It's this. You got to be able to negotiate and navigate that. And it's not automatic. And this is what I do. Or I would never have gotten to prime time in Los Angeles, and I wouldn't be working with people who came from the Pentagon and released to the world footage of aircraft that the United States Navy and Army and Air Force and Marines cannot explain. It's a little bit of a juicy story. And who did they go to? Because it's delicate. How do you tell the truth to the public about this without scaring the you-know-what out of them? It's delicate. Go online. You'll read the story. Just New York Times, just put in New York Times UFOs. It'll come up. It hit 2 Sundays ago. It's the biggest, I mean, I've never seen anything like it in my life. Neither have they. And they're the freaking New York Times. Patricia, you've got to write a short memo on why the longer memo is necessary. And then they'll read the longer memo.
Ironies. Okay.
An exquisite irony. You've got to write the short memo on why the longer memo is necessary. Then they will read the longer memo.
Okay.
I'm enjoying answering these. I know Omar probably wants to close, but does anybody have anything else? Omar, can you see all screens?
Yes,
Anyone
I can.
Okay.
Anyone want to ask something or share something? Raise your hand, please, so I can see you.
Okay.
All right. I don't see anyone. Oh, actually, wait. Maybe someone put something in the chat. No, we're good. Okay.
Hold on a second. I want to again thank Omar for being in our seminar space, our sacred seminar space, more times than I can count. It was absolutely wonderful to do this seminar in person all those years. And we do have another elite program that we continue to do in person. But what I love about the way we're going to do this one online is it saves you airfare and it saves you hotels. And when we take a lunch break, I walk 20 feet into that kitchen there. And I don't have to fly anywhere, and you don't have to fly anywhere, and we can still put you in smaller groups and bring you back. And I still get to share my energy, which, as you can imagine, I love to do. It's the same me. It's the same you. This time at a price that we've never done and with a convenience that we think will absolutely facilitate magic. So we want to thank Omar, and I want to thank all of you for being on this long and for being wonderful people. And anybody that has a question, you've got the phone number right there. We are here for you. We love hearing from you. Pick up the phone, call Heidi. Is that it?
Yep. I just unmuted everyone. hopefully.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Have an awesome, epic 2018. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Joel. Bye-bye.
Thank
Be in
you.
touch.
Thank you. Thank you, Omar.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Joel.